Good morning, everyone. My name is Bruce Veldhusen, and today we're going to talk about an overview of business analysis. This is for BUAL 2310 for Lamar University and Paris College of International Education. The field of business analysis is really huge, it's really broad, and it covers so many different things. But we're going to talk about a couple of definitions here. So this one on this slide is the process of understanding the business change needs, assessing the impact of these changes, capturing, evaluating, and documenting the requirements, and supporting the communication and delivery of those requirements to the relative parties. Here's a second definition: a liaison between stakeholders in order to understand the structures, policies, and operation of an organization, and to recommend solutions that enables the organization to achieve its goals. So you can probably get an understanding about how broad this is. It's almost any kind of analysis of a company, and there are so many different tools and so many different ways of analyzing a company. Generally speaking, there are four main categories of business analysis, and those are strategic planning, business model analysis, process design, and systems analysis. And a lot of people, when they think about business analysis, they think about technical and computer and IT analysis, which is a big part of it, but it's certainly not the only part. And it's not the part that we're going to focus on in this class. So let's take a closer look at these four categories. And the first is strategic planning. And the definition they give is identification of an organization's business needs. I think the good way of thinking about this is the best way to plan for the future. What is their ultimate goal for the future, and how they should best go about achieving that future goal. The next category is business model analysis, identification of the organization's policies and market approach. The best way to summarize this is, are we doing the best that we can right now in what we're doing right now? Are we operating in a way that's efficient and the most profitable? The next category is process design, and the definition here is standardizing and optimizing organization business processes. So in every organization, you're generally producing some good or service. And first of all, is the way that you produce that good or service the best way of producing it? And next is, are your business practices consistent throughout your different departments or different aspects or groups in the organization? And that's important to standardize so that you have best practices. And okay, just so everyone realizes, we're skipping system analysis because system analysis is really only about IT and the technical aspect of business analysis, and that's not really very important to us in this class. So I mentioned in the very beginning that there are so many aspects of business analysis. It's a very broad topic, and here are some of the deliverables or key concepts or different ways that you can analyze a business. You can look at their business requirements, their functional requirements, their current and future processes, business case analysis, gap analysis, BAMM, CMMI. And we're going to discuss all of these, or most of these, a little bit later. Software quality assurance, business analysis tools. Some of those are software, but they are special tools for analyzing businesses. business modeling tools, often also software, stakeholder analysis, business analysis plans, current state analysis, and scope statement specifications. So let's look at a few of these in more detail. And let's start with business requirements and different subsets of that category. And one of those is a business plan, where you either create a business plan for a company that's starting out, or you can actually have a business plan for an operating company. Another business analysis subcategory of business requirements would be key performance indicators. Looking at a company and in an industry and looking at key performance indicators like sales or revenues or lots of different parts of performance that a company might specifically understand is important to their bottom line and their success. And then you might have a specific project plan, like maybe you want to introduce a new product, or maybe you want to develop a new division within the company and you have to do a business analysis of that specific project. And then lots of other things. Like I said, this is such a broad topic. Some other types of business analysis might be functional requirements, and that might be data models. Like you might have key performance indicators and you want to develop some kind of data models that will allow you to check the key performance indicators. Or technical specs, that's more software based. Case scenarios, where you project or create potential scenarios and you do a case study for your company. For instance, maybe you are an oil company and you do a case study for a potential oil spill, or maybe you're a food product and you do a case study for a potential problem with your product that causes people to get sick. It can be almost anything. There can be work instructions, job descriptions, lots of different reports, whatever the company particularly needs. Current and future processes, flowcharts, how things move from one point of a production to another. How can they be made more efficient? How can they be made so the company is more profitable? Next is business case, a strategic plan containing stakeholders' risk and return, summarizing the reasoning for a project or task. We'll be discussing gap analysis a lot more, but it's basically comparing actual performance with potential performance. We are producing X number of goods, but we really could ideally produce much more. And why aren't we producing more? Okay, the next is business analysis maturity model. And these are 3 stages that talk about the development of a company. So you can summarize this BAMM 3 stages like this. In the very beginning, you have a very basic structure and you're kind of winging it. You don't really know that much about what you're doing, but you start. And then as you start, you move on to the next process, the next level, because you realize that you have some issues and you need to improve upon them. So you do that. And then as you improve, you see your business overall performance improving. So that's the 3 stages of this BAMM analysis. Next, we have capability maturity model integration, which is related to BAMM. It's a cousin of BAMM. A quality standard of organizational processes improvement and software development. And it's 5 levels, and that's part of BAMM, the 3 levels of BAMM. And here are the 5 levels. The initial level, processes and structures are not controlled and are mostly ad hoc and reactive. Managed, Processes are characterized for projects and are often reactive. Defined. Processes are characterized for projects and are proactive. In other words, you know the problems you're going to face and you prepare for those problems. And then the fourth level, quantitatively managed. Now you've got your systems down so well that you can quantify them and measure them. And then optimizing. Now that you've managed to really control and understand what you're doing, you can optimize things, tweak things so that they're really operating at peak efficiency. Next one is software quality assurance. Yeah, nothing we're going to get into in much detail because we're not IT, we're business. Business analysis tools include things like a SWOT analysis, balanced scorecards, decision trees, risk analysis, and game theory. We're not going to get into too many details about these, but they will be homework assignments, so be prepared to do a little bit of your own research on these. Stakeholder analysis. We're going to talk a lot more about this in another unit. So I'll just tell you, obviously there are many stakeholders or people involved in a company at many different levels, internally and even externally. Business analysis plan can be outline elicitations, requirement analysis, verification, validation efforts, clearly indicating responsibilities within the context of the business analysis efforts. So a current state analysis is looking at how your business is operating right now. Because maybe you have a plan for a future project or some future changes within the company, but before you can even do that, you should really potentially do an analysis of how your company is currently operating. And part of business analysis, ironically, is that before you start a business analysis, you probably need to do a scope statement specification report. Exactly what are you going to produce in your business analysis? Clearly define scope of the project or product. That would probably include what the problem is that you're trying to solve, or what's the business need, and what's the scope of the solution of the problem. How big is that solution? And is the investment in solving the problem worth that investment? Will there be an adequate return on that investment? In the end, business analysis is a huge field and involves so many different aspects of analyzing businesses. So I hope this overview was helpful, and now we'll move on to some more specifics.